Hello everyone. Let us continue with Java Access Modifier. Now before we can continue with default access modifier, make sure you have gone through public and private access modifiers. For that, I'm sharing a link to playlist in the comment section of this video. So as you can see here in the slide in front of you, default member access, it is basically the access level of a default modifier is only within the package. It cannot be accessed from outside the package. If you do not specify any access level, it will be default. So let us understand this concept with a diagram here in the next slide. So this is an outermost circle which denotes a package, and it has two classes, one class, two class, right? Now let me go to my drawing board to explain this better. So assume that this outermost circle is a package, and there is a class here, there is another class here. Now I have a field in the class and a method in a class, and there is a method in the class, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to define a member, and in order to define a member as a default member, I will not specify any access modifier. As I've stated here, if you do not specify any access level, it will be default, right? So let me go to my Eclipse, and here I'm going to define a member, and this member is a variable. I'll say int registration number, for example, right? And I'm going to assign it a value. Let's say it is 100. You can give it any value of your choice. Now, if you will see here before the int, neither I have made it public, neither I have made it private, right? So when no access modifier is specified, in that case, what happens that it becomes default by nature, and it is referred to as default member. Conventionally, it is also known as package access modifier. When you don't specify anything, it becomes a package access modifier. And the reason it is package access modifier is because it is accessible or visible within this entire package, which I'll explain with an example shortly. So coming back, let's say I have this registration number, which is default in nature, default because I have not specified any access modifier. Now what we can do is, when I'm within the class, and we all know this from our earlier discussions, that if I'm in a class, then any member of the class, which is this method or this method or this method or this method, any of this member have access to the default member. So here I can simply go ahead and say, I can copy this, paste it here, and I will copy and paste it here, right? So I mean, this display marks in this particular case is going to display marks as well as registration number for me. And this is because the default member is accessible to all the members within the class. So if you want, you can even copy this method here and make it display registration number, right? And you can delete this, and from here you can delete it. So you can leave it as it was earlier, or in order to make the code more professional, or rather more compliant to performing a operation as per the name of the method, as in this case it is to display registration number, I have just created one more method, but you could have done it the way we were doing this earlier. Both are perfectly fine. We are just trying to understand a concept here, right? Now what I am going to do is, now coming back to this diagram, now we have already seen that I have a method which can access this member, right? There is no problem with that. Simply by saying sys out of that particular member, I'm able to access that. Now let's talk about if we are accessing it across the class, or maybe the member is defined here and I'm accessing in this particular class. How do we do that? So I will go to this class here, right? And you will see that I'm going to create an instance of that class which is already there for me. I'm going to comment this for now. I don't need it, and I don't need this as well. And here I'm going to say system dot out dot println, right? And if I say s dot registration number, right? So as you can see that this particular variable which was defined in this class, if I call this as class A, right? I created instance of this class in this another class which is in the same package, and I can access that particular variable, and therefore this variable is accessible across the classes. So coming back to the definition here, as stated earlier, it is available or accessible within the package, and since both the classes are in the same package, therefore this access is allowed in case of default member. Now what if I have classes in different packages? So let us try that out as well. So this is good so far, right? We are able to access this because it is in the same package, meaning that main class and student is in the same package. Now I have one more package. Let's say here in this package I try to create a class here. Let's say I'll say access members, right? And I will create a main method here as well. I'll say finish. Now what I'm going to do is, as I had done earlier in this main class, I will just go ahead and create instance of this here, right? Now let us try to access the member. I'll say system dot out dot println, and here if I try to say this is the name of the member variable, I'll copy it and I'll say s dot registration number. Now let me hover my mouse on top of this error message. As you can see here, it is saying the field student dot registration number is not visible, and that is because this particular class access member is in another package, which is package 2, and this is in package 1. So coming back to the drawing board, now what I'm trying to achieve is I have a protected member. Let's say this is a protected member which is inside this class here. What I have done is I have imported this class in this this particular class here, right? And these two classes are in different package. It is P1, let's say, and this is P2. Now after I imported that, I try to create an instance of another class in this class here, and with that instance I'm trying to access the default member, which is not allowed, because access of a default member is only allowed within the same package and not across the packages. So coming back to the original code here, now I have defined a default variable here. I can as well define a default method. So let's say in this particular case, I'm writing one more method. So I will say void take exam, and here I can say system dot out dot println, and I can say take exam, right? Now as you can see here, this is a default method, or the access modifier is default in this case, in this particular case, and the reason is because I have not specified any access modifier. Now this is accessible by any other method, whether it is a private method or whether it is a public method, right? Like earlier I had explained for this particular variable registration number. Similarly, if you go to another class, from there you can say as dot take exam. Now, since we are still in the same package, which is package 1, as you can see, therefore you can very well call the method take exam, which is having default access modifier, right? But if you go to a class which is in another package, and here you say s dot, if you try to say s dot, and if you call take exam, again you will have the issue with visibility, wherein it says that method take exam from the type student is not visible. So this concept of default access modifier is same for whether it is a variable or whether it is a method in that particular class. So I hope the concept is clear to all of you. That's all in this video. I hope you enjoyed this session. Do not forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel, and leave your comment in the comment section below. Thank you.